welcome Joachim Pawlik.
Thank you very much. I have to press the button, right?
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah.
Thank you very much again for being here. It's not working?
It is.
Okay, thank you. What we do basically with our company, 300 people worldwide, managing change for companies. And we heard that in the discussions in the last hours, that it's analytically a pretty easy concept. Because you explain people what you want to do and everyone accepts it, but it's not always working. And one of the things what we found out is that people don't trust in the environment they work. So the first thing I would like to do with you in the next 12 minutes is to define trust in an organization, and then I would like to give you a couple of ideas how to build trust from a leader point perspective. So the first thing is, always when companies ask us, you know, our idea is to be agile leaders in the future. We want to prepare our organization for digitalization. Then we make kind of field studies. You might know that we go into the companies and talk to people. Okay, we take a look at the organization. And we always found that there are two ways of how the interviews really run. So the one field, let's divide that group here into the two parts, what we see. The left part, we make interviews and I ask you, so how is it in the company? How do you feel? What do you think about leadership? What do you think about the transformation, what lies ahead of you? Do you know, or can you imagine when there is an interview and the people always think 5 seconds before they answer? Okay, and you know they need to think. Don't step on the feet of someone. They are a little afraid, and you have always the feeling that all the information they give to you have to do with positioning themselves into the organization. They have to impress you. That you go out of the interview and say, that's a good one. Okay, that's the left part. The right part, it's quite easy, to be honest, when you ask these people, so how is it in the organization? When you think about the challenges of digitalization, they answer right away, completely honest. They are not afraid at all of what they're saying. The interesting thing from a consultant point of view is always, this group doesn't need a consultant, we just write it down. Okay, that's the easy way. This is hard, because you never get the information what's really gonna happen. And the only point what you know, they don't tell the truth about what they really think. So we have, on a very simple point, we have the trustful organization, high trust, low trust, and that's defined like that. Interesting for us is always, let's take a look at the low trust organization. So we, of course, make big presentations then and tell the management board, you know, it was not easy to find out what really going on, and interestingly, no one is surprised. Okay, from a management point of view. But then we ask them, so what do you think? Why? No answer. What is interesting for us, we go to the management board and tell, great people, we got all the information we need, and then they're surprised too. Okay, when we tell them it's better than in other companies what we expect, and then we always ask them, how? What did you do that it's happening like that? And we didn't get an answer. That's the interesting thing. So very often we have the feeling that trustful and not trustful organization just happen to be. It's not always a professional concept behind it, how to do it. And that was the reason why we thought, let's make some research on it. What do you need to do as a leader to build trust with your staff and with your people? Important, because we have only 12 minutes, 8 left. It's a huge thing, as you can imagine. It's clear that you need a systematic approach. It's not only the one or the two things what you need to take care of. So, but I picked out two. Two reasons. One is, if you don't do them, you have no chance. Okay, so they're very important when we have, I don't know, maybe 20 ideas about how to become a trustful organization. And the second thing is, they sound so stupid that no one is doing it on purpose. Okay, that's the second thing behind it. It's always interesting, you know, we train, I don't know, last year 60,000 people worldwide, and I always have the feeling that one of the obstacles of change and of developing people, it's that the way to do it, it's very stupid for our conscious thoughts. Okay, because you have to do it and say, what? Is it that? Yeah, and it is that point. I give you the idea in a minute. So the first thing what I would like to discuss with you is the question of, as a leader, to build trust in your organization, you have to show empathy. It's not a surprise, isn't it? It's quite simple. But I'll tell you how far that goes. Just imagine, train station, it's getting dark, it's raining, and there's one guy standing with a telephone, and you desperately need one. You don't have a handy, okay? And you see someone who's having a phone in his hand, and you approach him and ask him for a handy. We all agree that it's a question of trust if he's giving it to you. Okay, we don't take a look how you look. Okay, I would like to dive into how to approach him. So the one question is, they ask 80 people to approach the guy with the handy. Hello, can I have your handy? Okay, the one group. Just guess how many percentages got a handy.
Zero.
7%. 9%, 7, under 10%. And now they changed that idea and asked the 80 people to approach the man with a handy. Sorry about the rain, can I have your handy? What do you guess?
40%.
It's pretty much like it, it's 47%. So just saying sorry for the, I mean, it was not his fault, that was raining.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting in the business environment to show empathy and give the person the feeling you understand them on an emotionally level. And it doesn't care, and it's not at all necessary if it's your fault or your responsibility or not. You just show the person you understand him. That builds trust. The crazy thing behind that, I mean, this experiment was going, that's just apologies. I'm sorry about the rain. I go one deeper into that because it's so crazy. They made the same experiment in an airport. Plane is late. Okay, so there's one guy sitting, waiting for the plane, it's late, and you want to have his handy.
Oh.
Okay, same procedure. So I make it quite simple. So can I have your handy? Okay. Yeah, but there's one differentiation which is absolutely fascinating for me. So the easy thing is, can I have your handy? 9%. The next thing is, look, we have a neutral greeting. How high are you? Can I borrow your handy? 9%. We have a second one, traditional apology. I'm sorry to bother you. Can I borrow your cell phone? And the extreme one, I'm sorry your flight was delayed. Can I borrow your cell phone? 10%, 30%, 70%.
Wow.
The differentiation into a word of how you really feel the empathy for the person you approach makes a huge difference in trust. Okay? Tons of experiments worldwide, same system. And when you put that into the business environment, and it is always my problem, it sounds so stupid. Okay, when you approach a person and you want to build trust, you have to give them the feeling that you understand them emotionally. Workload, bad mood, yeah, stupid colleague. Okay, don't tell them he's right or not right, but it's just a question of, I know it's not easy. I know how you feel. And then you start the discussion. Okay, dive into him from the emotional point of view. That's all it counts as one of the very, very important points. I don't know how you feel. Consciously or subconsciously, I never did that in my company. So you have to think about it, and you have to address people, and you have to think before you go into an office to get a feeling about how they really feel. Okay, first thing, empathy. And the empathy, important. It's clear when I say that you have to be near to your people. It's clear, isn't it? So you have to know what the challenges they're facing, how they feel. But that's clear. Second thing, what is important for us? We heard that also in the morning. The Superman is gone, right? Staying here, you would be my employees, I'm sorry, or my colleagues, I have to say, and I tell you, I know the future, and just follow me. I know exactly what's wrong or right, so that's gone. We can't forget that. So the old Superman is past. The interesting thing is always how far that goes. Okay, there's one, and I give you one experiment. Just, I don't know, when you look at your neighbor, just the one you don't know, then do me a favor, can you evaluate him, trust 1 to 10. 10 is trustful, 1 not, but don't tell him. Okay, but just look at him. Yeah, look at you know each other. That's not fair. You look, okay, you judge it, and you have a feeling about trust. We all know face, expression, blah 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 blah. We leave that out because you're born like that. Yeah? And now there are 2 ways of talking to each other. The one way is typical small talk, what we all know, mingle. You meet a person and then you talk to him, and then there are questions like, I don't know, do you often read paper? Would you prefer? That's just a selection out of, in that experiment, 55 questions and discussions you're having with your partner. Okay, that's the one thing. The second group of questions are questions like that. It's underlined, you know, from closeness. What in your life are you most grateful for? What is the greatest achievement of your life? 55 questions too. Okay. It's not a surprise to you when I write it down like that. 3 times as much trust when you talk on the second level. Why? The interesting thing is when I tell you my greatest achievement is blah blah blah. Yeah, maybe I'm a little bizarre, you know. And maybe you have. Yeah, I know you think. But it's St. Pauli. When you say St. Pauli is bizarre, I'm getting angry. Everything else I survive. So, but just have the imagination. You know, I share something with you. It's something about my person, and she has a different idea about life. She could go to her colleague and say, you know what, our boss didn't take his pills. Okay, so you give something from you, something which makes you vulnerable, where someone can hurt you because you express something like feelings or some deep insight, and that builds trust. Okay, so it's everything that's wonderful, also tons of experiments done. All the time when you admit to someone, that's my life and that's I am, or for example, when you admit mistakes, I'm not good at it. You know, I can One sentence, can I have one sentence? One sentence. I'm not used to it, I'm almost 45 minutes, sorry. The interesting thing is, say the things you're not good at. Address it. Please be the first to address that you make mistakes. Then other ones will follow. Okay, and then there's coming, you know, a circle behind us, and then you build trust. No, shut up. Oh, sorry.
Now we have 6 minutes of time for your question, and please introduce yourself before you ask your question.
Hi, Katrin from Berlin. Actually, I'd like to know the data again. Small talk versus closeness. So could you please go further in that? You compared so and so much trust building was made with closeness and so much just with small talk. And actually, I didn't get the percentage. It was interesting.
The easiest thing, and I don't know if that's technically possible, all the studies, all the research we make, we have in an app. Yeah, but there's tons more. I can give it to you. It's all written down.
Okay, but in this case there,
in this case there, I don't, to be honest, I don't know exactly the percentage. I've said 3 times as much, but I don't know if they measure exactly the percentage or not.
Okay.
So I don't have that in mind. That's the reason why I share that with you.
I have a look.
Okay.
Okay, I think the next question was.
Yeah. Hello, I'm Sasha.
Hi, Sasha.
You said 3 things you want to share. What is the 3rd thing?
I'm in order. Thank you very much. Thank you. I love it here. That's wonderful. So the thing is, that's the vulnerability loop. So you know, I say I'm not good at it, and you say me neither, and then we build trust. There's one thing what you need to keep. You know, I'm a sales boss, and I tell you, you know what? I'm not good with people. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the one thing. You cannot address the thing what you're not good at when it's the main thing of your job. Second thing is, there's interesting research done in America. They judge professors, how well they are perceived from their students. And then there were brilliant professors, and they put them on stage, and on the way on stage they let them spill their coffee. Okay, and after that they asked, do you trust them? And they loved it. And then they had average professors, and then they let them spill their coffee, and they say he's an idiot and without any talent. So it's wonderful that, you know, when you are vulnerable and when you say I'm not good at it, not the things which are very important. Okay, and you have to be well perceived by your people, otherwise it's not good. That's enough.
Our next question.
Okay, this is Kai from beautiful Hamburg. HSV.
Oh God!
I just wanted to
I'm
mention
done,
it.
isn't it? It's 6 minutes.
Just to build trust and the relationship here.
It's like anyone who trusts us.
Hey, come on! Yeah? Who can suffer like we do? No, and
That's true.
yeah, that's true. Now, I wanted to bring the point. There's a lot of technique you described,
Yeah.
methodology.
Yeah.
You know how you can apply certain things in order to gain trust.
Uh-huh.
We all know from practice that the problem is the cynicism of people who have seen all these great managers applying all these wonderful techniques,
Yeah.
but not living it. So how to build the bridge from theory, what can you do better? How do you I have perfect people, I've seen people perfectly training all this stuff, applying it every day, but people feel very soon it's not honest, it's not really the way we behave, but they are still in charge of organization. And how changing this, making it practical, that's the interesting part.
12 hours.
2 minutes. 2 minutes.
You all know Messi,
Yes.
soccer player?
Yes.
I think 100 million a year. He's practicing every day on the practicing court, playing the ball like this. Every day. He's brilliant. He's the #1 in the world. What we always need to have in mind when we talk about leadership, that it's not done after 2 days of training, that it's not done after telling him 5 or 6 times. You have to practice. That is the most simple answer. The question is always, you tell people to do it, and then they say, I understand that intellectually, and then they think it's easy. And then they think it's already done, and then they don't practice enough. That's the easiest thing to say. And it's also one of the things, please be never, no, I make it extreme, okay? We have 1 more minute. Don't be authentic. Don't. I think that's the most, it's an interesting word when we talk about people, because when you're unfriendly, don't be authentic. When you don't like people, don't let them notice that. Okay, we have to, I think it's so important that we have to understand leadership, and that's not only the future, it's only the existing world, is a profession. And you serve people, not yourself. Okay, and you have to do the things like to help people. If you like it or not, I don't care. Okay, if you don't like it, change your job. Go in the cellar without a window, or I don't know, whatever you do. But if you work with people, practice and help them.
I think we won't have the time for one more question.
No,
If
my
you want
answer
to
is too long.
add
I know.
something, or a very short one.
Nice to know.
Is there one last message insight you want to give them in 15 seconds?
No. The last thing was no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then thank you so much.